Hi everyone, welcome to Couchbase Coding with Matthew Groves. This is a 10-minute slice of my day as a developer advocate, live every day on Twitch, YouTube, and Periscope. Check out the old episodes on YouTube there, the link is at the top of your screen. Please email me or tweet me your comments, questions, or suggestions. I'd love to hear from you. Today's music is called Drops of H2O by Jay Lang. Nice little fun, jaunty tune. I am in yet another hotel today. This hotel has had some intermittent power outages today, so if the stream stops suddenly, you'll know why. I am recording it locally just in case. And I've also given up on the webcam on this laptop. I just can't get it to cooperate, so you're going to have to look at a cartoon version of me instead. Alright, so today I thought I would continue asking Google to help me out with some questions. This is the Google autocomplete asks segment here. So yesterday we did a how-to and we did how to query, I believe. So let's see what we have on the list here today. So create index, like I said yesterday, I'm going to skip that. This is a new one here, how to set bucket password. And the answer with Couchbase 5 is that you don't do that anymore, but we can save that for a future episode. How to query was yesterday. Today I thought we'd talk about how to delete a bucket. This is kind of an interesting question because deleting a bucket's not something you're generally going to do a lot, especially in production. But there is several approaches to this, so it's definitely worth going through this and talking about it. So we'll start with Couchbase 5 here, and I'll just add a bucket. We'll call this delete this bucket. All right, and we're doing this multiple times over the course of the stream today, but we'll delete that bucket. So let me bring up this this little notepad here. There are 4 ways of doing stuff, and this is kind of going to be a theme in a lot of different operations in Couchbase, especially administrative ones like deleting a bucket, is that there's multiple ways to approach this. And one is a command line, which you can do from the command line, great for scripting, or if you just prefer the command line. You can use a REST interface, which is also good for scripting or integration with other tools. Couchbase Console, which is just a nice interactive way of doing it as a developer in your day-to-day job. And you also do with the SDK, which might be important for certain types of automation or integration as well. I'll go through all 4 of these methods on how to delete a bucket today. We'll start with command line. Command line. I'm using Windows again, and it is PowerShell. This will work for the regular Windows command line, and it also work on Mac and Linux, but the folder is going to be a different name than this. It'll be very similar. There's a bin folder there. But what we're looking at here is, if I'll just do a third to show you here, Couchbase CLI. This is the Couchbase command line interface tool, obviously, and you can do all kinds of operations with Couchbase CLI. The one we'll look at today is called bucket delete. So we'll do that, and we'll say bucket delete. I'll give you a little man page for that. And so I say, okay, bucket, and the name of the bucket, what was it again? It was delete this bucket. Is the name of that one. Okay, delete this bucket. So it's going to say, okay, you need to tell me which cluster. The cluster is localhost. Fine, I need a username, so I'll just use my admin username, which you should never use, literally administrator. And it says, okay, now I need a password. My password is, again, very secure password. All right, there we go. It's deleting that bucket right now. Deleting is very quick, so it's just waiting for confirmation, I believe. But there you go. It's no longer in the list. It is just gone. So we'll add it back in, because I'm going to be deleting it another way now. Take this bucket. I guess I could have probably done that with the command line too, but we'll just stick to one thing at a time. Alright, so command line is done. Let's look at REST next. So I'll bring up Postman, my favorite REST tool here. You could also use curl or what have you. And the endpoint for this is, unlike yesterday, we're back to 8091 as the port, /pool/default/buckets, and then the actual bucket name. And you use the delete here. So we're just doing a delete request to that REST endpoint. Go ahead and send. We'll get a response back of a 200 OK. Should appear right around here. Yep, 200 OK. So that was successfully deleted. and no longer in the list. So 2 down. Delete this bucket. Let's do the next one on the list, which is Couchbase console. So I was just there. This is the easiest one, of course, to sort of demonstrate visually, because there's just a delete button right here. Delete. Are you sure you want to delete it? Click delete. It'll be gone. Easy as pie. The UI comes out of the box with Couchbase. It's going to be in your browser, localhost 8091. Navigate to buckets, and then select the bucket you want and hit delete. I'm not going to actually delete it because I'm just going to have to go and re-add it again to finish out the list here. The last one is SDK, and this one's kind of interesting because it's totally possible to do these types of admin operations with the SDK, but you know, I'm kind of curious to hear from you why you'd want to use the SDK to do this kind of admin tasks. These are like DBA type of tasks, and why you want to use the SDK for that. I assume some sort of automation or testing or benchmarks or things like that. But I'm just curious to hear from you. So let me know why you would want to use the SDK for these types of things. But the way you do this is with, this is the standard boilerplate you'll see every time I do a console app. I'll connect to the cluster, authenticate to the cluster, and then at the end I'll just dispose the cluster. But to actually do an operation like this, you have to create something called a cluster manager. This is of type, I'll just put it in here to be explicit, cluster manager. And you create the cluster manager from the cluster object. So you just say .create manager, and then with that object you can do operations like remove the bucket. And you can also do things like create a bucket, or all kinds of other different configuration things. List the buckets, remove nodes, add nodes, all those sorts of things. But all I want to do now is just to remove a bucket, so I'll put in the bucket name, delete this bucket, and so that'll work. And this is C#, again, this is .NET, but of course you can do the same sort of thing from Java, Node, Python, PHP, C, etc. Alright, so go ahead and run this console app, and that will, okay, it's open the window, again a massive window here on this other screen, so I'll just move it over here. It's no actual output, it's just, I didn't write anything to console, but there you go, it deleted the bucket. And I'll bring up the screen here, you can see the bucket is gone. So there you go, that's the 4 methods to delete a bucket in Couchbase. I think that's the only 4 methods. There may be some other obscure ways, but I think that's it. Command line, REST, use the UI, and you can use any of the SDKs to do operations like delete a bucket. Alright, that's it for today. I did want to mention that yesterday someone commented that they'd like to see a stream on Couchbase Lite module for React Native, and so that is in the works. I've talked to some of my team members about that, and that's going to be something we will feature soon. I don't have a date on that yet, but it will eventually happen, and I'd love to have some of my teammates on the show or doing the show on their own at some point in the future, but that's on the docket. It's on my list. I haven't forgotten about you. Alright, well that's it for today. Make sure to send me your questions, comments on Twitter or email. I'd love to hear from you. Check out all the episodes on YouTube, and that's it. Thank you very much for watching.